Well, I'd like to present the panel here. So from the left we have Lauri Bikivi from Nordic. We have Jussi Numinen from Wirepass. We have Jari Hammalainen from Wirepass, and then Christian Sæther from Nordic, Thomas Weishaupt from Wirepass, and Andreas Wilczek from Sennheiser. Okay, so we have received a few questions from the online. Maybe I can just start one. Here's a question here. Will the Wirepass mesh software use Zephyr OS? I don't.
That is not used at the moment. So it is for the future considerations when there is real need for such kind of real-time operating systems, but not at the moment.
Why use NR Plus instead of 2.4 or sub-gigahertz? That's a big question.
I think it depends on the application. So if I talk, for example, smart metering, 2.4 is a very crowded band. The range is not so good, and the results of the say implementations in the field are average. For the sub-gigahertz, you have a better range, but you still have a limited bandwidth, and NR Plus is, let's say, merging both. Looking in this use case, it's the perfect merge of the advantages of these two very good ISM bands, but they are too crowded with too many different technologies.
Maybe I can add a little bit in detail as well that especially in non-consumer use cases, which we are focused initially, 1.9 gigahertz or sub-gigahertz are the two main radio technologies today. You can say that if you look at sub-gigahertz, it's also a fairly fragmented regulatory landscape. So we see today, especially in utilities, that you can deploy sub-gigahertz product easily in one region, and it's almost impossible in other regions because the regulatory rules around utilization of spectrum is impossible with a DACE product that need higher bandwidth uplink and downlink, right? So there, 1.9 gives you access to a fairly global spectrum where you don't have these limitations at all.
Okay, thank you, Christian. Now I have a question myself here, and so now we've had full day presentations, and we've had the Wireless Congress, and we've presented NR Plus in many different places, and we can see that things are really developing fast, and we have a standard, and we have a chipset, and we have products on the way. But I think many people now wonder is how will this technology develop, because there are many other competing technologies also. And yeah, it's a little bit of an open question. What is needed now to make this technology fly, as we all hope it will, in different ways? So who can I challenge with that question first?
Will we start?
Yeah. Andreas.
So, as I'm, beside being head of spectrum policy and standards at Sennheiser, I'm also consortium head of the MERCI project, which is a Franco-German innovation project targeting to demonstrate actually the technology in different media and entertainment use cases and IoT in form of cooperative networks. So what is really, really important is that besides the engagement of different sizes of companies, and with different mission system integrators, large companies, SMEs, we also need the research institutes, we need the universities, which are engaging with the technology and bring the technology far beyond what release 1 and 2 will deliver. Technology needs the research community. And we see this also with other technologies. In the cellular domain, they are spent billions of euros in enhancing the technology by the research community. And we need this engagement, and we are doing there only the first tiny steps.
Then I think the next question is, how do we engage all the other universities around the globe to get started with this? Where can they go if they want to?
Yeah, so there are actually multiple possibilities. If you have a great research idea which can be related to DECT NR+, you can actually approach different entities in your national countries. You can engage in European Union project proposals and things like that. Yeah, and DECT NR Plus delivers there really a great opportunity, especially for the SMEs.
Okay. Anyone else who wants to? UC is...
Maybe I continue a bit. I guess that the key word on this one is basically how do we increase the awareness of the technology. And so basically the research is not happening, in, at least how I see it, in a vacuum of itself. So there needs to be also a public companies or private companies which are actually expressing the interest for the technology, and basically then these research programs in most cases take place. And this is, we need to create a positive awareness circle so that there are more discussions and talking about the technology and capabilities.
Right. Yeah. Thomas?
I would support all what was said, but we got to see the other side of the spectrum, which is of the market spectrum, which is success. We must create a fear of missing out for several players, so that we are not 3 companies sitting here, but in 2025, 10 companies sitting here talking about the different options. And when we see the first, I would say, 10 million smart metering project going to DECT NR Plus, Nordic will be happy, but some others won't be. And then it's about the creation of this fear of missing out. And the other thing is we must create a vision like Christoph did in this presentation, saying be bold. Yeah? We are not the small tiny underdogs. Be bold, because we enable use cases that haven't been enabled to the satisfaction of the end user, of the satisfaction of the solution provider, of the finance guys so far. And we are enabling this, and we must prove it now with the team that's sitting here, with the companies that are sitting in this room, and then we must increase and grow with this kind of success subsequently into, for example, a broader user alliance, a broader standard contribution, and so on. And then I think we're on the right track. Not becoming a 3GPP, becoming ourselves. And that's, I think, the key.
Okay.
Yeah, I support the previous speakers. So not only to think about that we have to do more and more new features and new performance, everything like that, that's the engineering thinking. But actually, for the real customers, we have to show that we have a great standard. It's really working in specific use cases, and it can be used in any of the use cases much broader ways. So let's execute and make it happening, and the awareness is also important in that game.
Yeah, I think I would agree. That's I think people are waiting for the proof, so to speak, of the after all the years of talk, so to speak. And but I think we're very close to achieving that. So I guess that's something we can look forward to next year. Yeah, then I have a question related to this. So in terms of making things fly, what can the DECT Forum do to contribute to the success of NR Plus? Now we've run the webinar series and done some marketing for it, but what more can we do? Any ideas here?
At least I see the DECT Forum as a very important forum to have a place for people to come and meet, to talk about technology and align around technology, to learn, to figure out how to use it, to discuss use cases. But I think the DECT Forum also have a bigger role to establish programs that can help creating interoperability, for example. This is a technology that will be heavily utilized across the vast majority of IoT use cases, and for that to become significant, you need a way to have interoperability. So I think the forum hopefully can and will play a key role in establishing programs around profile, certifications, whatever is needed to ensure interoperability. I think the forum also should play a role to reach out to other industry forums that are also strong on the higher layers, to see how we can together establish programs to establish this as a radio technology that can be used across existing applications and application layers, at least.
Thank you. You see.
I guess that one area which we have already also touched yesterday is and what has been discussed, that the natural resource what we need is spectrum, and this is definitely something that DECT Forum should continue and actually strengthen the effort on that sense. Since this is impossible for single companies to actually navigate and understand all the regulation related topics which relates on the spectrum availability globally, as well as other regulatory topics which are associated on actually building and setting the equipment on the market.
Yeah, Thomas.
I would give 2 hints. One is the marketing part. The brand of this NR Plus is strong, and looking into my domain, which is smart metering, there are many brands like G3, Ysun, and some others that group the suppliers under this brand, but the utilities that are finally deciding about what technology is deployed, they are looking in the standard. They are not looking at single companies. They would never be dependent on the companies. So this neutral entity on the marketing side as well as on the standard development side, that could be DECT Forum, and you could look at the role models of things like G3 PLC Alliance or LoRa Alliance, which have been successfully developing this huge ecosystems. And for us as a company, this is really facilitation, getting access, getting attention of stakeholders in the politics, in the funding areas, but also in the vertical industry domains. So it's a give and take, and not a chicken and egg, I think.
Right. Okay. Okay, now I wonder if there are any questions in the room.
And what would be the next steps in escaping the 1.9 gigahertz band? So opening up new gigahertz bands, new bands, not only from a standardization point of view, but really from also from a hardware point of view. So what would be time horizons now, given that band is available? What would be the next steps? Is that like 10 years, 1 year?
I guess that this availability of the chipset versus available spectrum is a traditional chicken and egg problem. So I guess that's unfair to assume that all frequencies are implemented on the chipset if there is no understanding that what actually the regulation is. So there ain't any clear answer on that one when things are happening and moving forward. So there needs to be certain clear signs on the regulation that this will happen. Then the decisions on the new frequency bands is possible on each company. But Andreas was referring to this 3.8 to 4.2, that this is a clear example now that we have ongoing activity there. And at least I'm positive that the possibility to also enter with the NR Plus on that frequency band will happen. The tricky part actually is that what are the licensing conditions on the technical manner, what are requested, and when that text is available for and is part of the legislation. So there are unknown things, unknown timelines, which we can't control, but this is life.
Okay, thank you, Jussi. I have another question here that came in online. So, in an increasingly open world, isn't it interesting that DECT NR Plus works also on open source stacks to make it easier to adopt this technology? I guess the question is... Yes, Andreas, please.
Yeah, so actually we have in the MSC project some activities in order to get a stack implemented for different non-IoT applications, yeah, which are not mesh. So for the Pro Audio we need something, yeah. And actually the Nordic chip offers a very, very great opportunity that you really can talk to something what I would call lower Mac, yeah. When I think back to my time when I was a PhD student, it would have been a dream to have such an access. Yeah, and I'm quite thankful that we have this access in the MSC project on that level in the chipset. Yeah? And of course, when I make a very, very tough vision, yeah, we have the universities engaged which are doing something like research stacks, yeah, combining basically the efforts of the universities to something like an open stack, yeah, and then you have basically an ecosystem of service providers in the development space, yeah, which are then making basically this research stacks, this open stack, available to the manufacturers so that they can be applied to the products. Yeah? Because this gets very, very important, especially for the smaller companies, which do not need to implement the full range of the stack the DECT 2020 is offering. Yeah, and we are just in the beginning phase there, and we now have the first PCB platform available in the Merci project based on the Nordic chip, together with an embedded platform, and we will see in the next year where we will be with the Merci project at the end of the year.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to follow up on that. So how do we bring people together? Because there will be people implementing things, but very often we discover that, you know, too few people know about that, and we've just discovered that today.
This is the role of DECT.
In you know, compared to classic DECT, after 30 years, people are still discovering that it exists, and of course that's always a challenge. And I think right now we need to make sure that you know, as many people can find out about it. So there needs to be some sort of maybe meeting place. Andreas?
Maybe I can just give a quick comment also to that type of creating stacks and how can people contribute. I think I'd like also to promote the Zephyr open source community also in this phase. You know, Nordic took a bold step a few years ago and decided to use Zephyr as our basis for our software development kit. And it's now, I know, 30, 40 companies using that. Most of our SDK is open source. And also in SDK there is a multiple of chipset companies, stack providers, non-commercial and open that are implementing. And if people are not aware, this is an open standard, so specification is available. So it's actually up to anyone who wants to start, try and get going. And now there will soon be available devices and part stack that people can start from.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Lauri.
To paraphrase a famous saying, then in open source, do not ask what open source can do for you, but what you can do for open source.
Okay.
That's the point.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Sorry. To expand on where the community, the meeting point. So assume I have an application in my mind which is not pro audio, which is not smart metering. And, well, I've read the standard, I've barely understood what the standard can do. What should I do? Where should I go? How can I, whom to ask? How can I influence? Maybe that's also a good topic to discuss.
If you're in this state, I would say come to me because I'm the sales guy of Wirepass.
I was about to say the same.
Exactly. It's absolutely, come, we got to talk.
And also if you have an interest in standardization of a wireless technology, come to ETSI, engage there. So there's a possibility for SMEs to have a very reduced membership fee. And we are happy about every contribution, every additional resource we get in the standardization. And there's a lot of work to do.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Just not joking about it. It's really about the use case that you have in mind. But if you say you are not, it's a make or buy decision. Yeah? If you are having the skills and the know-how and the people to build your own Mac layer, to tailor this to your application and have sufficient market size behind you, it's best you do it. But if you're not having these skills and this know-how and the idea behind, look what's available. It could be open source, could be Wirepass, depending on the use case, could be something else that is coming. And that's what I think also leads back to the first question about the size of the ecosystem. So the more choices we have for you in the ecosystem, the better for the standard, the better for everyone. Let's make the cake then bigger and not focus on the cake we see today for ourselves.
I have another question then, and I've myself been, or I'm involved in the 3.8 4.2, and I'm meeting the 3GPP community, and of course 5G is very big in the world, and private 5G is very big, and a lot is being said and discussed about that. Yeah, so we're also a 5G technology, and we're up against that sort of competition, but it's also been suggested that rather than compete, we could also collaborate. So we could become a sub-node of a maybe cellular network. That's also been, I think, suggested by the ETSI board, in fact. So compete or collaborate, or both. Is that something that some of you can?
Well, maybe I start on the technology and standard point of view. Both are, of course, possible. And operator has a full choice that how they are building their service offering on their perspective. The capillary network type of working or structures has been discussed for decades in the network, cellular network community, that you would have a different technologies for collecting sensor information, and then you are having a backend connection. As an example, is the best of the cellular. So I don't see that it is us in ETSI and here to say that we are replacing the private 5G on the cellular domain on that sense. Of course, I like the idea that we have a great market share on the market, but it certainly is driven by the use case and the end user who wants to deploy the system and service, that they have a say on this.
Okay.
Yeah, I can also comment that from a Nordic point of view, who are both doing cellular and non-cellular 5G basically with what we're doing right now, I think it's very use case driven also in the sense that there are companies that want to build their own private networking where DECT NR Plus offer that opportunity, and there are companies who want to rely on either fully public networking or public-private network infrastructure because they don't want to build and maintain that, and then maybe cellular and cellular 5G is an opportunity for them. And I think there will be a mix of use cases and companies who want to do either or, and we should be open to and flexible to understand that.
Going to the full end of the market side, it's not the question for us. It's a question for the 3GPP guys, whether they are looking or but they are doing what they have been announcing since years, moving into the service business. And if you look at DECT NR Plus in combination with the cellular backhaul, with the broadband backhaul, it's the same megabytes that you get in the system, the same data you get in the system, and the value comes from the data and not from the network. So looking for the most efficient combination is for the service provider the key. And the question is, what is the KPI that a mobile operator has? Is it ARPU, or is it a system-wide view on the service return that he's getting? And I think NEPs and MNOs are struggling with that since a decade.
Mm-hmm. And even like said earlier, the use cases are driving the decisions. What is actually the technology best fitting for the use case? But I would say that we definitely welcome the operators to think about the certain use cases actually to be done with the DECT NR Plus technology and having them as a customers rather than competitors.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Andreas.
Yeah, so just commenting from a pro audio manufacturer's perspective. So we have multiple wireless technologies in our portfolio, including that Sennheiser is doing its own technologies for wireless. When it comes to the decision which wireless technology should be used for which market segment, for which application, the important driver is actually the price point. And if the KPIs of the use case can be fulfilled in a reliable way. So it makes no sense to have a technology which basically ends up in a price point no one in the market is accepting, because there is already another technology fulfilling the KPI and the price point. And it will be very interesting to see how the reaction of the different ecosystems to a new choice of DECT NR Plus is. Because NR Plus is actually enabling a lot of things on a more reasonable price point. Yeah, and inside Sennheiser, of course, DECT NR Plus is internally regarding project development competing with other technologies, including our own technologies. Yeah, and at the end, it's just a decision by the product management to make a product, and then it's a decision by the market to buy a product. Yeah, and especially in case of 3GPP 5G, Sennheiser was highly engaged in driving also 3GPP 5G use cases, and we still don't have a product for 3GPP 5G after 5 years of engagement. This is also a message.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not just the technical KPIs, it's about the deployment, it's about all the hassles you have from the regulatory domain at the end. It's also about the hassles IPR is generating. Yeah, it's also very, very important for DECT NR Plus actually to establish a scheme, and this is also something where DECT Forum can engage, how to actually license IPR for DECT NR Plus. Yeah, so I've talked to multiple companies, bigger than Sennheiser, and this is basically a really driving point. How to ease the access to the technology for everyone.
Okay, so operators and service providers are mentioned. Should we do more specific work towards those players to engage them and to get them interested? Because we seem to be divided a little bit into those, two camps. There's the cellular 5G and there's the non-cellular 5G. And I just wonder, if that's a healthy thing to do, or if we should engage and work together in different ways. Should we have a special event with our operators, perhaps? Or Thomas Weishaupt is saying no, I think. But
I'm not saying that we need this special event or not. It's about the use cases. And when I look into smart metering, the 3GPP community is often a general contractor for the whole system level. And then it's about them to convert the DECT NR Plus into their recurrent revenue streams, that, like they do with the SIM cards. And I'm not sure if we should, we can talk, but we should stay neutral on that. So it could also be the Wi-Fi community that is looking for solutions in the shop floor. There could also be the let's say legacy LoRa community that looks for an enhancement in their use cases, where they cannot fit with the KPIs, as Andreas said. So I would be technology open and collaborative with anyone that is offering this kind of demands where we cannot fulfill the KPI. We cannot compete on the same use cases that are already satisfiably fulfilled by these technologies. It's about enhancing.
okay.
Actually, I would say it's also coming to the range or SLA. So let's take an example from the smartphone topics. I realized today that I was trying to browse in this very room some internet pages, and I thought that how come anybody designed such a slow service? And then I saw that, okay, by the way, there was the letter E in that one, and then I thought that, oh God, I'm actually guilty for that one because I was involved in the GPRS and Edge design long time ago. So in this very room, there was no 3G, 4G, 5G. It was Edge availability.
Right.
And okay, maybe if we apply that to the world of IoT, so basically, as I mentioned, all the difficult rooms like this one, but also cellars, all kind of machine rooms. So it's not reachable with the 5G, 4G technologies, not always. So that could be extension also in that area.
Right. So yes, so now it's complementing cellular
Yes.
systems in areas where that is where that makes sense, essentially. Yeah. Then now we've had a year for with webinars and some marketing events, and we're looking ahead at 2024. And the question is, what can we do next year in terms of events, and indeed should we maybe organize a special event for DECT NR Plus? Would that be a good idea, and would there be enough interest, do you think, from...
At least I'm positive to see that over the course of the next few months and next year, you're going to start to see real use cases coming alive with real product and real examples of where it can be used. I think that will spark a lot of interest and start driving things such as stack development or other applications. So I think it makes sense at least to think about something that can gather more of the IoT community around this once we have established the first proof and use cases for where it can be used. So we can broaden this forum and broaden the audience more towards IoT.
Sorry, I have to.
Thomas,
It's an impulse coming from this wireless congress, which was happening exactly 1 year ago, and which was happening yesterday. And from 1 year ago to yesterday, the audience for the DECT NR Plus session has more than quadrupled.
yes.
So the first year we were beneath each other. There were two very interested technical persons.
Exactly.
And yesterday it was moderated by the program director of Wireless Congress. The quality was extreme high of all the presentations, and the progress between 1 year ago, not only in the audience but also what has been achieved was great. And I think if we continue this path of engaging people in the IoT community, in the technical community, and leaving this room and going out, like going to Hannover Messe, to Embedded World, to these places and showcase there is a community existing, there is a user, there's use cases, there's real life in this community. I think that's the next steps for 2024, 5, and 6 to get this enhanced.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Agree. Good. So there's a lot of work for us to do in marketing in other areas, and that'll be good. Now I have a question coming in. This is Matter CSA and DECT NR Plus interested in working together?
At least what I can say, I think what I said before, I think that it's very important actually that the DECT Forum try to reach out to other major communities that operate and focusing on interoperability and higher level stacks that are already available out there to see what is possible to do, for sure.
Yeah, fully agree, and that's actually been luckily raised up yesterday and even today by many people here. So definitely collaboration like this is a great example.
Okay, so that's a look ahead to next year, where we can expect many more activities. There are no more. Yeah, there are some questions which we will answer after the meeting. Smaller questions have come in. If there are no more questions from the room, then I'd like to thank the panel very much for your answers and for this discussion. And then I think we can close the webinar session, the online session. And I would like to thank everyone who has participated online in today's session or previous sessions. You're very welcome to contact us at any time. You have my email address, so and we look forward to seeing you in future DECT Forum events. Thank you very much.